Hello again, Year 4. Well done on your brilliant efforts with the B topic so far. Mrs Evans, Mrs Price, Mrs Smith, Miss Murphy and I all love receiving your emails and seeing what you've been up to. It's great to see your smiling faces in pictures and videos and to read all your lovely work. You've been making it really tricky to choose the home learning heroes. I wonder who it will be this week. Have you been enjoying the new class text The Last Wild? If you haven't heard it yet, make sure you find it on our Year 4 page on the YouTube channel. I loved reading it so much I read the next 2 books in the series over the Easter holidays. Anyway, back to this and next spelling video. This week we are going to be looking at suffixes. Who thinks they can remember what a suffix is? Yes, that's right, a suffix is a group of letters that go at the end of a word and change the word's meaning. First, we're going to recap a suffix that we learnt before the Easter holidays. We looked at adding the suffix ion. That sounds like shun. Can you think of any words that use this suffix? For example, invention. Well done, Year 4. I hope you managed to find some words with the suffix ion. Here is my list. I've got donation, completion, nomination, stagnation, invention. Again, you can hear that they all have the shun sound at the end. Okay, so here's the My Turn section. I'm going to recap the rules for when we're adding ion that we learnt before Easter. So rule 1 is if the root word ends in a T, you simply add the suffix ion at the end. So the root word is invent, it ends in a T, so all you have to do is add ion to make it invention. And then rule 2 was if the root word ends in TE, you drop the E and you add the suffix ion. So complete is the root word, it ends in a TE, so you drop the E and add ion to make completion. Now that we've recapped the rules, can you have a go at the your turn? Here are some root words. Can you choose the correct rule to spell the new word with the suffix ion added? Pause the video now, go and have a go yourself, then come back to me so we can check them together. Okay, so let's check how you got on. So the root word is select, it ends in a T, so we follow rule 1 and we add ion straight on the end to become selection. Number 2, hesitate, ends in TE, so it follows rule 2, we drop the E and we add ion at the end to become hesitation. Okay, our next root word is inject, it follows rule 1 because it ends in a T, so it just becomes injection. Number 4, act, it ends in a T, so we simply add ion at the end to become action. And finally, migrate follows rule 2 because the root word ends in a TE, so we drop the E, so migrate becomes migration. This week, our learning objective is to learn how to use and apply the suffix ion. So, why are we learning how to apply suffixes? Well, if we come across a word that we don't know, we can use our knowledge of suffixes to work out the meaning of the words. So, for example, if we know that the suffix ous means full of, and we come across the word poisonous, we can work out that the word means full of poison. And the same with contemptuous. Again, we know the suffix ous means full of, so we know that contemptuous means full of contempt. So now we have recapped our previous learning on the suffix ion, we will look at our new spelling focus for this week. We are going to continue to look at the suffix ion, but this time the suffix becomes ssion when the root word ends in ss or mit, but the suffix still sounds like shun. So let's break it down and look at some examples. Here is the My Turn. Rule 1. When the root word ends in ss, add the suffix ion straight on the end. So the root word is express, it ends in ss, so you simply add the suffix ion to make expression. Rule 2. When the root word ends in mit, you drop the T and add ssion. So permit is the root word, it ends in mit, so you get rid of the T and you add ssion to become permission. Now it's your turn. I've written up some root words. Can you follow the spelling rules to correctly add the suffix ION? Pause the video here, have a go, and then come back to me. So let's see how you got on. Let's check your work. So transmit follows rule 2 because it ends in an MIT, so you've got to drop the T and add SSION. Commit follows rule 2 as well. You get rid of the T and you add SSION. And finally, progress ends in SS, so you simply add ION at the end. So here are your spellings for this week. Again, pause the video, copy them down, and then you'll have them in front of you for when you're practicing them during the week. And now I'm going to share some spelling activities for you to try at home to practice your spellings during this week. So your first activity is called Spelling Scrabble. As you can see at the top, each letter of the alphabet has a different number of points. So your task is, can you add up the points for each of your spelling words? So for example, expression is worth 19 points. Can you work out which one of your spelling words is worth the most? Which word is worth the least? And can you order your spelling words from the one that's worth the most down to the one that is worth the least? You could use some of the techniques Mrs. Evans told you about in last week's maths video by looking for doubles, near doubles and number bonds to help you to add up your points. So activity 2 is handwriting. I know that quite a few of you, especially in 4B, were close to getting your pen licence, so it's really important that we continue to practice our handwriting. I know you won't have your handwriting books at home, but we can still look at forming and joining the letters correctly. So as I said last week, repeatedly writing out a word really helps me when I'm learning my spellings, so we can do this and practice our handwriting at the same time. So I'm going to start with expression, our first spelling word. So I do my E, my X doesn't join, so I take my pen off. And then I do the rest of my word. My P is a descender, so it goes underneath the line, and all of the other letters are the same size and distance apart from each other. Now I'm going to try discussion. So D goes up, and then all of the other letters are the same size again. So now it's confession. Now the F is a bit different because it's an ascender and descender, so it goes right underneath the line, and then you can join it, and all of my letters again are the same size and distance apart from each other. Number 4 is permission. Again, this is a descender, so it goes underneath your line, and you don't take your pen off until you get right to the end when you're dotting your I's. Spelling number 5 is impression. Your P again goes underneath the line because it's a descender. Number 6 is obsession. And again for this one, I don't take my pen or pencil off until right at the end. And you can see that all of my letters are the same size apart from if it's an ascender or a descender. So I can draw a line here and all of my letters are in between those lines. Spelling number 7 is admission. And again, only the D, the ascender, goes above. Then we've got concussion. And finally, procession. Now I've just written them out once here, but you can do it as many times as you like to practice your spellings and your handwriting at the same time. So for your next activity, you can have a look at your spellings for this week. Can you write out the root word for each of your spelling words? So in the word expression, the root word would be express. Have have a go at this yourselves. So the next activity you can try is pyramid writing. I find the best way to practice my spellings is through repetition. If you find that you're like me and you learn best through repeating your spellings, have a go at pyramid writing. So basically, you're making a pyramid out of your spelling words. So this is your final activity. So here, Tom has had a go at his spelling test. Here is his attempt. Can you mark his work? What is his score out of 9? Can you correct his incorrect spellings? Can you explain the spelling rules to him so he understands why he's got them wrong? Pause the video here and then come back to me and we'll go through them together. Okay, let's check how you got on. So, the first one, expression. He's got that one correct because the root word is express and we follow rule 1. We simply add ION right at the end. So, discussion. We know that this one is incorrect because all of our spellings this week end in the suffix ION. He has spelt it how it sounds. The shun suffix makes the SHUN sound, but it's spelled ION, so it should be discussion with the ION on the end. So the next one, he's got that one incorrect as well, because the root word in confession is confess, and that ends in the double S. So we just add on the ION at the end. So confession has a double S. Permission, he's got that one correct, because the root word is permit. So we get rid of the T and we add SSION on the end. So the next word he's got wrong because it's supposed to be procession. So instead of this E, it's an O. So there's the correct spelling. The next one is impression. Again, he's got this one wrong because the root word is impress, and impress ends in a double S, so we simply add the ION on the end, so it is impression. Now, this one might have caught you out a little bit, so he is wrong because it doesn't have a double S for the first S. So if I show you what it should look like, the next one is admission. Now, he has tried to use the root word of admit, but he hasn't used the rules quite correctly. So if you remember, if the root word ends in MIT, as admit does, you have to drop the T first before you add the SSION. So it should be admission. And then finally, concussion is correct. So he scored 1, 2, 3 out of 9. Now that you have watched Mrs. Price's video all about subordinate conjunctions, why not try using some of your spelling words in some sentences using subordinate conjunctions too? So I've got, when I give you permission, you can go outside. If you make a good impression, you may get the job. After the teacher finished talking, they had a discussion. Now I've remembered to use my comma after my subordinate clause. Why don't you give it a try? So I bet you all want to know our spelling shed champions for this week. Well, in 4B, the top speller is Louis C. In 4EP, the top speller is Rylan L. In 4M, it's Esther M. And in 4S, it's Caden P. Caden is actually also the top speller in Year 4 out of all of the classes. However, this week 4EP have overtaken 4S to be this week's best Year 4 class. Well done 4EP. Come on 4M and 4B, it might be us next time. I can see how hard some of you have been working playing on Spelling Shed, so keep up all of the hard work.